The verb evaluate is slightly easier to understand than the difference between explain and analyse, because when you're asked to evaluate something, you're asked to present information as you would do with the verb analyse, but then also come to a conclusion. It requires that you present some sort of an opinion based on the evidence in your argument. This does not mean that you should say, I think, but rather that you should come to a conclusion and present that clearly and, as I said, very in such a way that is backed up by the evidence you present. Now, I'm going to use again the same question about Hitler coming to power, this time evaluating the different ideas that are presented for that. I'm going to use the same ideas as I did with analyse and the same evidence. So I'm not going to rewrite all of the ideas from analyse. You can see it in front of you anyway. So starting with the Treaty of Versailles, you refer back to the page about analyse in order to refresh your memory about what detail I presented to suggest the Treaty of Versailles contributed to Hitler rising to power. My evaluation then is that the Treaty of Versailles' main role for Hitler, and it certainly had one, but its main role was in propaganda, in presenting the idea that the Nazis agreed with many Germans that it was a diktat and so on. But the Treaty of Versailles wasn't the only issue that the Nazis used in this way. There were lots of other problems that the Nazis could use for propaganda to suggest that they were better than the Weimar alternative. And, of course, the Treaty of Versailles had happened many years ago, and so while it contributed to ill feeling towards the Weimar government, but there were, again, lots of other reasons for people to feel disappointed with how things were going. So in my evaluation, the Treaty of Versailles is a minor contributing factor and not by no means the most significant issue in bringing Hitler to power. Remember, in evaluation, not everybody's going to agree with you. People have been arguing about this issue really since about 1940. As long as your ideas match the evidence and you can present your ideas clearly, then that's what's required by evaluation, not that you agree with a particular point of view. So our second idea was the Great Depression contributing to Hitler coming to power. And the Great Depression certainly made people more fed up than they even were beforehand with the Weimar government because of the failed attempts to deal with the issue. And so this also contributed to disappointment with democracy in general, which was a sentiment that already existed in Germany and had done since 1919. So it's not a new feeling. There were already people in Germany who felt like democracy had been forced on them. Therefore, I would say that the Great Depression is a cause in making Hitler and the Nazis seem like a viable alternative to what the German people already had. So again, this is my opinion. The Great Depression, because of these issues, leads to Hitler's reputation being more appealing to the people who are voting. And then finally, Hindenburg appointing Hitler as Chancellor. For me, this is the most significant factor in Hitler's rise to power. This is for a couple of reasons. Although Hitler and the Nazis had won many seats in early elections, the Nazis had actually then lost some seats in a later election. So they weren't necessarily going to become significant players sort of without external intervention, which is what Hindenburg appointing Hitler as Chancellor is. However, despite that loss of seats, being Chancellor provides Hitler, and by extension the Nazi Party as well, with legitimacy within the democratic process, opportunities to exercise power to their advantage, and it puts Hitler in a command position, really, to take over Germany and start making new laws and so on once Hindenburg dies. Of course, Hitler didn't know that Hindenburg was going to die anytime soon. He was an old man, but there wasn't necessarily anything to suggest that Hindenburg was very close to death. So this is one of those historical accidents that contributes greatly to the subsequent events. So this is my evaluation of how Hitler came to power. That the Treaty of Versailles was a minor contributing factor, that the Great Depression contributed greatly to Hitler seeming like a good alternative, and that Hitler being appointed Chancellor was the most significant factor in him coming to power.